sushi ashtray.
Wanna ride in my spaceship. Getting sad, let's get high, just embrace it. Wanna fly in my spaceship. When I slide, waste my time, start gazing.
Back again.
Wanna ride
Round
in my
2.
spaceship.
Feeling a little saucy. You feeling it? You feeling a little buzz?
A little buzz.
Got it through the arms.
A little buzz.
Getting ready to go. Well, here's the moment that everyone waits for. All 7 of my listeners, my mom, my dad, and my little sister. They all are interested in listening to what your alter ego is. So, for a little background, we know. So your name's Phil,
Right.
and then Marcel Xane is your rap name.
It's my birth name, actually.
Do you want to give a little background on it? Because I actually don't even know what that means.
So I was adopted in South
really?
Africa by a South African family. Like, it was just, internally in South Africa.
Were you born in South Africa?
Yeah. Yeah. I was born just outside of Johannesburg.
Okay.
Johannesburg. So,
Johannesburg.
or Joburg is what people just say.
Joburg.
Don't want to say the whole thing, But I was born to a young mother, and father didn't want to be a part of it. They weren't together at the time. And I was born as Marcel Xane Anderson, which is my family last name.
Oh, that was your given name?
My given name. So Marcel Xane was first in middle, and I think I was in in high school, I think, or it might have been middle school. Middle school is when I was really like identity crisis of like, I'm adopted, like dealing with
Were
all
you
that
adopted
stuff.
from birth?
Yeah. A little bit after, but you don't right around.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I have 2 birth certificates because I was the family that adopted me, my family, they renamed me, Philip Christu de Quanang.
Gotcha.
And so I found the birth certificates in the filing cabinet during middle school or high school, and I found that original birth certificate, the Marcel Xane birth certificate, and I was always had that in my pocket, knew about it, like was planning on like maybe I name a kid Marcel or something like that, but then like it hit me like 2 years ago, like why have I not been utilizing this identity I already have as my creative space? So Marcel Xane ultimately became my creative cloud where I could, and it gives me that connection back to South Africa, where it's just like that's still a name that is a big attachment to South Africa in general. So
it's an interesting concept, man. I would ask you, what does that mean to you, and what does your family think about it? Like, do you view it as like, you become Marcel Xane, the most pure form of yourself when you rap, or is it like, what does that mean to you using that name?
I think Marcel Xane gives me that freedom to just focus on the creation process, getting that message across to people, and having fun with it. I didn't want Marcel Xane to be this serious rapper going to tell you all the troubles I've been through. I more so want to inspire people through what I have accomplished already and what I'm going to continue to do, because I think positivity, resonates more than me telling stories that some people can't even relate to. So
it's more of like embracing who you are as a whole instead of like having this past that you like neglect.
Right. So
some powerful stuff, man.
Right. It took a little while to get there though, because I
gotta
had to
grow
work through my own stuff and like just go through more experiences to finally have everything just click. And
what did your family think about that?
The family that adopted me.
Yeah. Are you in contact with
my birth parents?
Yeah.
Not my dad.
Or your mother?
Like my mother still reaches out to me on birthdays and stuff. I don't want to call her my mother. It's just my birth mother.
Yeah.
Because the mom I have now, that's my mom. That's my mother. That's who raised me. That's
you have an emotional attachment to.
Yeah, and I think it's in middle school when I was dealing with that whole crisis thing. Like, it was really good to connect and like know who it was, just out of curiosity. I think that's what it was. But now it's more so that, I'm comfortable with them doing their own thing. They have their own life. She's remarried. She's got other kids. So I have half siblings in that family. Mm-hmm. I've only met one of them, the oldest son they have.
Gotcha.
But I haven't met the rest of them. But, I don't really know if that whole family is aware of, who I am and where I've been and what I've been up to. But it gives me there's closure on that, where it's just like, they're doing their own thing. I figured out my own life. Like, I have my own life here.
You're living
so
your own
far
life
away.
to the fullest, especially.
We're so far away from all that there's that disconnection has allowed me to grow into my own person. And,
That's a great story. See, I was always curious where you got that, because it's such a unique name.
Right.
I never fully understood. And that's a great take, man. That really is like an emotional, it's like a cohesion of everything. Like, you're putting It's not just, you're not just putting Phil into your music. You're putting Marcel into it. You're putting everything, every aspect into it.
Me. Yeah,
that's good, man. That's interesting. I had no idea. I'm glad you told me the story, dude.
I know,
that's great to.
I think that name. Definitely from where I was at previously, because I've had 2 other aliases, because I used to DJ under a different name. Mm-hmm. When I started, I made my music under a different name. But then really tying in, what's really authentic about me, using a name that I was given that I don't legally use anymore, but it's still mine to do with as I please. I'm glad that I use it as my creative space, because it spaces out the people that know me as Phil, the people that know me interpersonally as Phil, from if you only know me through the music. And I say that lightly, because I put it all in my music, but if you know me through the music, you only know me as Marcel.
Yeah.
If you've met me in person and you've grown a little bit with me and you've known me for a couple of years, then you know me as Phil.
It almost makes Phil more emotional to you, more intimate.
It's my own thing.
Yeah. It's like Phil is your most intimate, your close, people who you trust, your friends, your family, your partner, that they know you as Phil. Marcel is your that's a good way to separate the two, man.
And it's unique.
Yeah.
I searched Marcel Xane everywhere and I couldn't find anything.
I've never fucking...
It's also spelt that interesting way with the X instead of a Z. And that in itself, I was like, I might even be pronouncing it wrong, because I only read it on a piece of paper and I was just like, okay, I'm assuming this means
it
Xane.
Flows, though. It flows. It definitely flows, man.
But as soon as I picked it, I was just like, I'm stuck with this. This is the rest of my life.
That's good, man. You got the good. We got the good side. Let's talk about your bad side, because not everyone's a good person every once in a while. Okay, every once in a while we have a little bit too much to drink, a little too many beers,
sometimes a little too often.
I guess you could say we get down in the dirt. Mm-hmm. We fall down in the dirt, get a little dirty, and get a little filthy. If you know what I'm saying.
And get a little filthy.
So let me know what your 3 drunk alter ego qualities are and who your alter ego is.
Philthy, he really doesn't care. He doesn't care what people think.
So Philthy.
Yes,
Filthy. Filthy is your alter ego, which makes a lot of sense. It's a great alter ego.
It does. And it came really naturally. It was more so other people calling me filthy, and then I just rode with it. Mm-hmm. But
I feel like those are the best ones.
Right.
A good alter ego. That's why I always try to give other people alter egos when they come on the show, because a good alter ego is something you earn, not something that you're like, that's why I was talking to you earlier when I was like, is Marcel Xane your alter ego? Because you gave yourself that name.
Right.
You made that name. That's not your drunk alter ego. It's not really an alter ego now that we've spoken about it. Mm-hmm. But filthy is something that you're just like, fucking Phil did this shit last night when he was off a couple beers. That's Phil. He's filthy.
And the only
filthy's
the close, only the close people and the real ones get to see filthy. They will see him at some point.
It's casual Saturday night. You've had a little, Yeah, I know you had the. I know Philthy came out during the album release party. I saw some of the snaps.
It usually comes out in, definitely a social environment, clubs, especially.
Yeah.
If I'm to a point where, I'm just trying to let loose as much as possible.
So 1, 2, 3. What are the traits?
Trait-wise?
Yeah. Loud, quiet, dancey. Like, what do you?
Dancy is a trait.
Big dancer.
I'm a big dancer.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen me in the club, I get up on the table and will be the center of
attention.
I'll try to be, whatever, my dance.
Pass or fail, but you'll try. That's all you can.
And that's the thing is though, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So
he's living his own life.
Yeah. I'm in my own cloud at that point, and I really don't care. I just dance. I like to, I like to have that energy and just keep that energy going. I'm not saying that I'm inconsiderate of, situations around me, but I definitely just try to have fun. And fun is so broad because, you get into a lot of weird situations when you're just trying to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
So Philthy brings out that darker side of, like me just not caring and just wanting to have fun.
Well,
so.
And that's the thing, man, is like, I feel like that's what drunk alter egos are. That's kind of why I started the show, because sometimes people say, your drunk alter egos, sometimes your truest form. Mm-hmm. Because as human beings, we try to hold in all these emotions. We go through things and we either accept them and work them through in our mind or with our family, and it becomes a piece of us. It makes us grow. But it could still hurt if they're that kind of emotion, or it could still be different. And sometimes when we get drunk, those walls come down, and it's your truest, most emotional, almost like a young self. Like we almost take. That's why like people say like drunk people are like babies, because we really just take all those inhibitions down, and it's just raw emotion.
You know what I'm saying? It's your primitive
form. Yeah, it's very primitive.
And that's totally, I think my primitive form might have changed over the years. I think I was a little sappy when I first would get really drunk. I was a little sappy drunk,
Mm-hmm. And most people are. It takes like a little bit to, as you get older, you just start, dealing with a lot of things. And it's hard, especially in college. And I feel like that's why college has a stigma of a lot of people being drunk. Is like you're living with your friends, and they're friends who you may be known for a little bit, but for the most part, like especially like us in a fraternity, like we were only there. I knew each other for like a year or two. You're not going to cry in front of somebody you've known for a year.
Right.
You're not going to go through that shit. So it's hard. You got to get those emotions out somewhere. So we drink and we get those.
I've also realized though, like over those years, being that sappy drunk originally, that was like a mental health issue that I need to deal with interpersonally. And learning that on my sober side of things improved my drunk self, because now I'm a happy drunk. Like,
I would agree.
If I
with that.
drink now, I'm doing it because I'm having fun and I'm trying to enjoy myself. And I think I've put a barrier on,
The more you deal with your emotions in your sober life, the more fun your drunk sober ego or your drunk ego could be.
Yeah.
Your alter ego becomes a more positive person because now you're just feeling it. Mm-hmm. You're just feeling it. You're happy.
Yeah.
That's why like when you go out to celebrate for an album release party or a new job or something, like it's a great night because your drunk alter ego is fun. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you've gotten all that out.
Right.
And so having the strength to know in your sober self to be like, you know what, like, yeah, I need to figure this shit out.
Right.
I need to sort my stuff out. Everybody's got their own thing going on. When you sort yourself out, your alter ego can be a lot more. You know what I'm saying? And it can be fun. People can have great alter egos when it's just that stripped down form of themselves, their truest form, in a positive light. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, but I do have a situation where it was more of like the transition from the sappy to the happy. There's a little in-between phase, which was a little more angry.
Do we all have
drunk.
that? We've all punched holes through the walls. We've all thrown things.
And
gotten into little tussles. Gotten a little filthy.
But this time, Philthy got himself into a fight that was not his fight.
A little tussle.
And
defensive or well, break it down.
I had a friend of mine that has, we were into some different situations in Chicago, and we had made some enemies in our area, and not that none of them can not hold their own, because they can, but they came in like three deep to just this one kid, and they ended up robbing him and took all his stuff, and then in high school age I was like, okay, like tell these guys to come meet us by the movie theater.
Where did you live in Chicago, by the way?
Outside suburbs.
Gotcha.
Like West Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys were South Side.
Okay. And
I was out west, and we met kind of in the middle. And I was mostly defending my homie, but this had never, occurred to us, any of us, before. Like, no one had ever done this to a close friend of mine. So I immediately reacted, and I was, a little bit in my zone, in my element at that point, in Philthy's element at that point. And I was like, this is not going to slide. Mm-hmm. So me trying, to be that guy, I tried to go after two of them by myself.
It's a young, emotional, reckless.
But, on foot. I'm chasing these guys down. And we
So did he get robbed in front of you?
He got robbed like a couple hours before.
Oh, okay.
And we just dealt with the situation really quickly.
Gotcha.
It just escalated, kept escalating. And we ended up in the middle of the street in this scuffle. And then I see cop cars are approaching. I get great swings on him. I, snag a chain or two. And because I'm just going animal.
You're just
animal.
fucking red. You're seeing red at this point. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing red.
I want blood, and I'm coming after it.
Yeah.
And then he ends up, after I get off of him, he gets up, and then he just clocks me, breaks my nose, and
you got a big nose. It's an easy
target. another like month and a half. It was swollen to like triple the size.
Shit.
Because it just screwed everything up.
Must look like a cartoon character, dude.
And how I told everyone else, I was just like, oh, I fell off my skateboard.
Yeah, and just fucking.
And just I ate shit on the skateboard, like screwed it, fucked up my nose, no big deal. But that was probably a time that I realized, like, oh, I need to think about what I'm doing, not just try and like.
Emotionally, it's just that first reaction, just
Mm-hmm.
that fucking go
but
fight or
that
flight.
It's that primitive self. I was just, I was in filthy mode. I was just like, no one can do this.
Defensive, like, dude, no, it's the same. That's why people fight the most when they're drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like, all right, you see your boy, you care about your boy, he's your friend, you have an emotional connection. Somebody's fighting him, you're gonna jump in just because it's primitive. It's just like, dude, somebody's attacking something that's close to me. Like, I'm gonna
right, and the way I was feeling was like, you can't do this to like people I consider family. Like, like my brothers, my close friends, they're family to me.
Yeah,
and you're coming at my family at that point, and I'm gonna defend my family. So
it won't hold.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't regret it. I honestly don't, because like I got what I needed to say out of it, and
I'm sure it taught you something too.
Yeah. No, but it taught me that I do need to take control. I need to think about these things before I do them. And now I'm a much more passive person. I don't like altercations with people. Like, I always try and think of a better way to resolve something than trying to go,
it's
hand
all,
to
it's
hand.
all, man. And I feel that, man. When I was a little kid, dude, I would move around a lot, and I would always be at new schools or whatever, and it'd be tough fitting in. Every once in a while, there was a kid who wouldn't mesh right, or who wouldn't feel it or whatever. And sometimes, it came to a little altercation, a little push shove.
Right.
And as you grow older, it's like, especially I feel like the people, when you see like videos of like kids fighting or whatever, those are kids who didn't fight as a kid. When you're young and you get into those just like deep down, just like, I'm a fucking little kid, I don't know how to deal with my emotions. You just fight someone.
Yeah.
Like, as you get older, you realize like, if you deal with your emotions in an intelligent way yourself, you can deal with the situation in a smarter way that is a 90% more productive. Because you never know what happens when a fight. All right, you and I get in an altercation, we fight. Who knows? If I kick your ass, I'm feeling good, whatever, you're going to go home and be like, fuck that dude. Fuck that dude. I'm going to get a couple more of my boys and come back and get revenge.
I'm coming for revenge.
Never fucking, it's just, it stacks. It stacks. It stacks. And instead of just settling your own shit and dealing with the situation without being violent, it always works out for the best, you know?
I think it also comes from me seeing so many fights in high school because we would just have
You're a product of your own environment.
Fights every weekend at the McDonald's right by our high school. And, these fights would be large groups coming at each other. And then, people just jumping in because they just want to fight. People just had enough energy to just, whatever's going on in their own life, they're just like, fuck it, I want to fight too. Yeah. So they just hop in. So everyone starts fighting. And then, you at the end of the day, you have 3 kids that were just curb stomped and they're bleeding on the curbs over there. And you have no idea what to do because that all of you have to get out there as fast as you can. Luckily, none of my friends I haven't been, in that side of things where I've been laying there bleeding with my skull cracked on a curb. But it's once you see it, you're just like, wow, this didn't need to happen.
No,
this is way too far. And they actually ended up closing that location. I think solely because of us. At least when I was leaving, they had already changed their hours. So when I left that area, they changed their hours to closing at 10 p.m. Where McDonald's are 24/7 everywhere.
Yeah.
But they closed at 10 p.m. just because too much shit was happening after that time that didn't need to happen.
Do those experiences influence your music? Because like you said, it's so positive. But I mean, those experiences have to resonate with you in some way.
I think they'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Because, you live and you learn.
How do they affect your creative side?
The negative experiences?
Yeah.
I more so want other people to never be in that position. That's why, it's such a cliche thing to say, but it's elevating your mindset, Elevating your perspective on something by knowing enough information, about that situation, about that topic, whatever it is. But trying to get people to a higher state in their mindset so that they can utilize that and make a better decision than what they would have without that knowledge.
Yeah. So
I encourage people to read. I encourage people to do their research. I'm a curious person as it is. So I do my research on things, and I enjoy the process of investigating things, That's ultimately what I am trying to do with my music, is that other people should not go through what I had to go through to learn what I did, but instead learn from the experiences I've had and make a better decision when they come across it, because they already know that information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, so to finish off, because we got a couple more minutes left, I know you had a story you wanted to say. So you still want to go on it, or?
Yeah. It's more about growing up. I was growing up in South Africa, and just from what I've learned from here compared to South Africa, compared to London, the way, not the way people think, but the way nurture and nature works around you. I grew up post-apartheid, and post-apartheid, to my perspective, South Africa moved on really quickly from the racism side of things. So I grew up in a household where, I didn't see any color. I had a live-in nanny, caretaker, I would say. My parents were both at work every day. My mom was working for BP, I think she was working for British Petroleum, like UK or even SA. But and my dad was doing graphic design, and that's where I get my creative side of things. But every day at home, it would be me and Luisa, my caretaker. And she was a big, like Big Mama. She was a big black lady that, I viewed as a second mom to me. I had just to reinforce your point, when I was a little kid in Mexico, we had a caretaker too. Her name was Doña Cruzita. And I had the same relationship, Your mom's your mom, just like, but like, exactly. When you spend so much time as a kid, like they become somebody special. They become an aunt. They become a. She was a part of our family. Exactly. Like she had her own house, her own kitchen, her own place to stay, and it was growing up in that environment, and my parents being so against racism. Because my dad's a massive fan of Nelson Mandela. When did that whole thing happen? I'm not too familiar with South African. Really recent. I'm pretty sure 90s or pretty sure apartheid only ended in the beginning of the 90s. And could you give a little background for it? I'm not too familiar. I know that it was a thing because South Africa was a British colony, right? And then similar to the U.S. with just segregation of people. South Africa was the same way. It was like whites only here. Why do they call it apartheid against segregation? Is that just like that was I would say apartheid has probably been a thing for longer, but it wasn't slavery. It wasn't because it was slavery and then it became segregation where it was there was never slavery in South Africa. It was just always from the beginning. It was just separation of people, and yes, segregation makes sense with that, but that's not the term. Different cultural context. Apartheid, and I don't know if you know, but Nelson Mandela was in prison most of the time that he was like famous and making all these freedom rights movements. I'm not too familiar with him, but I know. But that's someone that I have a quote from Nelson Mandela that absolutely speaks to heart to me, and just growing up in that. What's the quote? It's a really long quote. Is he passed? Yeah. His wife, I think, passed a couple years ago as well. Oh. But so I think I remember hearing some stuff. But that's the thing is, Nelson Mandela, what he had done for our people, just in progression of mankind there, he changed everything. And I think here in the U.S., it's lingered on. It still lingers on. You see racism every day. But my point of view, just growing up, seeing no color in South Africa, my best friends being of all different races, Asian, Indian, black, like my best friend was black. Mm-hmm. And to me, I only understood, not that I didn't know what racism was, but I only understood it coming to America and like seeing it firsthand here. It was heartbreaking because Chicago's a rough city for that too. It's like you have people on both ends of the spectrum, and it's just it definitely plays into like me wanting to make my influence in the hip hop industry because I don't want people to be looking at all white people that same way. There are those racists, yes, but everyone has their own, mind and their own way that they grew up and their own things they know. Like a lot of those racist people, that's all they knew growing up. They didn't have the technology or the media we have today. It's not nature, it's nurture. Yeah. Nobody's born racist, Yeah. You learn how to hate. It's funny though, man, because I like for example, like I love you, dude. Like you are a great example. Like if I look at you, you got green eyes, little reddish beard. You almost could pass off as Irish. Right. You could go just like a white Irish guy. Right. Yeah. But that's not who you are at all. And then deep down, as soon as that's my favorite part, dude. When I go to a store or when I go somewhere here in Phoenix, that's a very Latin influence. If I just want to go get some tamales or something, like tamales, like just try to, do whatever.
and I hear some people, or I do something weird, or I hear some people talk shit about me in Spanish, there's no greater feeling than like just listening to them talk shit about you in Spanish and then turn around. Because like I don't look it.
Yeah.
I'm pale, man. I'm pale. Like and
right.
We have a stereotype. I'm from the north part of Mexico, which is very pale. Like my cousins look like me. Like we're not very dark skinned people, and that's the stereotype. So people think
that's the nature side of things.
Yeah,
so.
people think that like I'm not Hispanic or that I don't know how to speak Spanish, and so when somebody talks like that, and I can turn around and be like, dude, like I know what you're saying, like it's a great like awakening. It's just like, you know, hey, like I know what the fuck's going on. It was the same for you.
Here's a Nelson Mandela quote. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. Like you're just saying.
Yeah.
You get taught that. It's like a systematic. But that's the bigger point that I'm trying to get across is that when I came to the US, it's still such a systematic issue. It's from the top down and it trickles down into everything else.
Yeah.
And that's why I have these political issues. Is because I'm a person that to this day will still say that I see no color. I have a very diverse group of friends, and I really don't care what you look like, what the color of your skin is, because that doesn't tell me who you are. But a lot of other people have pre-connotations as soon as they meet someone. It's hard, man.
Like knowing who someone is, like even then, it's like actions do speak louder than words.
Right.
Whether someone's black, white, gay, straight, whatever. I don't give a fuck if you treat me or if you fucking do something that negatively impacts me on purpose. If you treat me like shit, like I'm not gonna like you. If something comes up and you have my back, you defend me, you stand up for me,
right?
Like those are the actions that show me what type of person you are. There's people who will do or say whatever every time they see you. Mm-hmm. They say something positive. Hey, you look great. Wow, I haven't seen you. I've missed you so much. Oh, is this your new girlfriend? Let me talk to her. Like introduce her to me. Yeah. Like, and then they talk to your girlfriend. And they talk her up. And then you hear that like you didn't get invited to that party, or when you actually need them and you're hurt or drunk at 4 a.m. and you need a ride, they won't answer their phone. Yeah. Or they're not there to pick you up. Or when you need help, they're never around. Or when you get broken up with by that same girl and you need help because you're fucking heartbroken, they're not there to provide support. That's more important. Actions speak louder than words. Somebody who will just meet you and be like, "Oh, hi, how you doing? It's good to see you." And then when you're actually hurt and you need help, they're there to support you and listen. That's more important. You know what I'm saying? And race, all that stuff, like it like sexual orientation, none of it matters if deep down like somebody's there for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like people interaction, they need to put aside what they're seeing from what they can learn from someone. And those interactions is exactly what I believe in too, because I have way better time in person with people hanging out than I ever do on any social media platform.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I get people get really hype off of likes they get, or different people hitting them up over social media. But I'm a person that's in person. You're gonna get more of me if you're hanging out with me than ever seeing any social media stuff about me. Like, yeah. Not that I don't believe that in social media. I just think that it could be used in the wrong way, and it could definitely, if introduced at a younger age, people can get too obsessed with that side of things and not enjoy life.
Sure.
You need to actually go out there and smell the fresh air, feel the sunshine. It's like,
I hope you can take that idea, that mindset, and really push it through your music, because it really does seem like that's what you're starting to do. And
right.
Back to like what we first talked about, man, it surprised me. Your tape surprised me in the most positive manner.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy to have seen you in the short time we've known each other. 4 years is not a lot. Mm-hmm. And we'll be honest, we're not the closest of friends.
Right.
We don't hit each other up every day.
I see you quite often.
We see each other, but it's not like we hit each other up every day. It's not like we fucking hang out on the reg. We're buds, but like I don't see your everyday mental, moving,
Yeah.
And it was really great to see who you were and what this project, what it says about you.
Mm-hmm.
I can see so much of you, and I can see so much of somebody who's grown in that. And having this conversation with you, I can see how your ideas are coming in through the tape. And I really hope people listen to it more, because a lot of times music is so much more than just audibly like sounding good. Because your music sounds good, but it's what the meaning behind the lyrics and the meaning behind the emotion and the meaning behind why you made certain decisions on it that give it that extra oomph, that extra meaning to it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm running out of words, but it's just like it's awesome, dude. I feel like I need to go re-listen to it, knowing what you've told me, and get a completely different experience than what I did the first time.
And that's what I think people will continue to experience with it, because there's little things in there that I've thrown in that you might not hear the first time. You might not even hear it the first 5 times you play it, but you will pick up on it because this project was well thought out. It took quite a while to get through this whole project, and the process for it was just, it taught me so much, and it's giving me good direction on where I want to take things, because now I understand, that I can do way more with this, and I can continue trying to just expand upon those ideas of, getting people to a healthier mindset.
Yeah.
Because I had to get myself through, and music helped me through this too. I had to get myself through my own struggles, but I was on medications and stuff for anxiety and depression and all that stuff. And I, one day, end of 2017 or middle of 2017, that summer, I was just like, nope, I don't need this anymore. Yeah. And from that day forward, I felt so much better as a person, because I'm controlling my own mindset. I'm not letting, a drug sedate me or suppress some stuff, because I think it's worse than
going with your emotions.
Yeah, because I'm dealing with it right off the bat, and I'm getting it out of the way, and I'm, it's like the authentic me. I feel me because, I don't take any medications. Yeah. I don't need that stuff to feel sane.
Marcel Xane. You're Marcel Xane,
Yeah, no, I took control of my life, and like you said, I know that you guys see how much I've grown, but I think these last 4 years have been the most that I've matured as a person, and been able to actually take action, not just start something, never finish it, but follow through with something. And that gives me satisfaction, but that also shows to who I'm working to be.
That's how I feel about this, man. When I told people I was going to do a podcast, the greatest feeling was when people were like, "Oh shit, you did it!"
Right?
Oh shit, you said you were going to do this, and then I'm looking at it like it's real.
Right. Right.
So, dude, I'm super glad you came on the show.
Thank you.
An hour is never enough. An hour is never enough. And I look forward to seeing you even before you release that new tape. You know what I'm saying?
You will. It's probably end of spring. I'm going to try and hit it right before summer hits. It'll probably be done in the next couple months.
I'll look forward to it. And we'll play you out with one of your outro tracks on the album. It's Lifted Legends for you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers to you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Stay lifted, stay lifted, stay lifted, stay lifted, stay lifted.